right idea for you and how you might go about finding a good idea for starting a business. With that said, we'll get started. So first, there are a lot of rewards to starting a new business. Um, you have the potential to create generational wealth. You can fulfill one of your passions. You have control over your own destiny. And you have the ability to impact the world in a positive way. Kevin Systrom, who co-founded Instagram, said that if you've got an idea and you start today, there's no better time. And that's really true. But before we get into some of the details about how you might approach starting a business, I wanted to kind of throw out some myths that as SCORE mentors, we hear from people coming to us who don't have any experience in business. And the first one is that owning a business means more free time. The reality is you'll likely actually work harder and longer, but hopefully enjoy it more, uh, especially in the first year or two of getting your business off the ground. The second myth we hear a lot is that my idea is unique and I won't have any competition. The reality is there's always competition. Your job is to stand out and offer a better solution to people. Myth three, owning a business means I'll pay less in taxes. The reality is you might. If you earn a profit, though, your business will pay taxes, and you also have to pay yourself a salary and pay standard payroll taxes as well, at least in the early stages. Really, saving money on taxes is not a good reason to start a business. I won't have a boss anymore. The reality is you won't have one boss. You'll have many bosses, customers, investors, suppliers, even government agencies. Your business's success will depend on keeping all of your stakeholders happy. Here's one I hear a lot. There are government grants to start my business. The reality is very few for-profit businesses can get free government money. Well, some grants exist for specific purposes like research or specific industries. Raising funds typically requires personal investment, loans, or outside investors. Here's another reality of starting a business. After 5 years, half of all new businesses fail. This is from the Small Business Administration. So why does that happen? Well, one reason is cash flow problems. Inadequate capital or poor financial management can lead to a lack of cash, which ends the life of the business. Market demand. The lack of a product market fit or insufficient customer demand is another major reason why businesses fail. Competition. It's difficult to stand out. As we said earlier, there aren't any completely unique ideas. Those are very rare. Typically, you're going to have to compete with others. And finally, operational challenges. Lack of leadership or execution. But the overall biggest problem that we see is the failure to plan. A lot of people start businesses without a detailed business plan. And failing to plan is the same as planning to fail. Now, with that said, I don't want to discourage people from starting a business. Ferdinand Magellan in the 1500s was the first person to lead an expedition to sail around the world. And he knew that it was dangerous. In fact, he died during the voyage. But one of his quotes has always stuck with me. The sea is dangerous and its storms terrible, but these obstacles have never been sufficient reason to remain ashore. And I think that's the same with starting a business. Things can go wrong, but if you plan well and you know what's at risk, then, and you have the passion to do it, then you should go ahead and start a business. The other thing is, once you decide to start a business, as Steve Jobs has said, I'm convinced that about half of what separates a successful entrepreneur from the non-successful one is pure perseverance. So once you decide to start, you got to really decide to stick with it. Now, finding your place in business. I'm going to use a concept called Ikigai. It was originated by the Okinawan people of Japan. And the Okinawans are known for very long lives and very high degrees of life satisfaction. Ikigai means the concept of a reason for being, or some people say a reason to get up in the morning. And it's actually very simple. It says that there are four things that you need to align: what you love to do, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. And if you can get all four of those aligned to overlap, then you've achieved Ikigai. Now, in business, we have a similar kind of concept, but we use different words. So, what you love and what you're good at is your capability. What your, let me adjust my screen here. What you love and what the world needs, that's your mission. What you're good at and what you can get paid for, that's your value proposition. And what the world needs and what you can get paid for is the market opportunity. And business success, Ikigai, is achieved when all of those are aligned properly. So, do you have ideas for a new business? So, if you do have an idea for a new business, use the steps that we're going to discuss to evaluate your idea. If you don't have an idea, you can use the following steps to match your skills and passion and areas where you think you can make an impact. So the first element is, what do you love? What's your personal mission? What activities can make you lose track of time, or what problems or topics do you enjoy exploring and solving? If you have a job, what parts of your job do you really like? What hobbies or personal interests excite you? Do you have a passion to fill some unmet need? A lot of people say you can turn your hobby into a business. We're not suggesting that. What we're saying is that there are things that make you kind of uniquely you that would be a better fit in certain areas than in others. The next element is, do you have the capability to run the business? Each business has critical success factors, specific things that you have to be able to do. I mean, there are some obvious ones. If you're going to have a restaurant, someone has to know how to cook, right? Someone has to develop the recipes. I started a business in industrial water treatment, and that requires a lot of technical education. But I'm a chemical engineer, and I had the capability of handling that key aspect of the business. In general, your skills, your previous education, and your work experience are going to define what your capability is. In all small businesses, you have to have a strong work ethic, and you have to be able to manage your time to get things done in a timely fashion. And you're going to have to manage more than the key area that you're an expert in. You're going to have to manage all of the business functions as the CEO. And the other thing is you have to have the willingness to ask for help and take advice from others. For example, a SCORE mentor. Now, not everyone has all of those skills and capabilities. Filling in those gaps, what is needed versus what you're good at, you can supplement your current capabilities, right, by taking courses to improve your skills. Let's say you want to start a business in an industry where you don't have any personal experience. You might want to take a job in that industry to gain some experience first before you try to actually start your business. Obviously, you can find people you can hire to fill the gaps. For example, using the restaurant uh, example, let's say you're a chef, but you still need someone to run the front of the house, to manage the wait staff and handle the customers. The other thing you can do is partner with another company or companies to combine capabilities. So when I started my industrial water treatment business, I knew a lot about treating water. But where my weaknesses were, we designed machines that treated the water. And I'm not an electrical engineer and I'm not a mechanical engineer. And so I worked with two other companies that could help me fill that gap in my capabilities. And then finally, you can find advisors, consultants, and mentors to help you. You're most likely going to need to hire a CPA, an accountant who's familiar with taxes, and maybe a lawyer to look at leases and other legal agreements. If you're trying to file patents, you'll certainly need to have a lawyer. So other professionals can help you. And a SCORE mentor can help you guide you away through this process. The next thing is the market opportunity. And there's no getting around this. At the end of the day, you're going to have to talk to potential customers. Before you can do that, you need to identify who your ideal customer is. Is it a man or a woman? Are they rich? Are they poor? Um, do they live in a certain particular area? I mean, you have to drill down and find out exactly who your ideal customer is so that when you talk to them, the people who are likely to buy your product, that you get the proper answers. You can test your idea with questions like, what problems do they face related to the area that your idea solves? What are they currently using to solve that problem? How interested are they in a better solution like yours? Would they pay more for it? Again, when you're talking to people, look for patterns. Are multiple people expressing the same need? Do you find something consistent among them, a consistent desire for a solution? There's also a lot of good online services like Google Trends, social media, or forums to see if people are discussing this problem. Another valuable resource is the Cleveland Public Library. It is one of the nation's top business libraries, and there are two full-time, on-duty business librarians that can help you with your market research. So here's a real-world example. If you're starting a meal prep business, survey busy parents and ask, would you pay $10 per meal for a healthy, ready-to-eat option? And see what kind of response you get. The other thing I might ask them at the same time is, how often might you enjoy such a meal? You know, if it's once a week, maybe there's not enough business to support your meal prep business. The next concept is what's called the value proposition. It is how you create value for the client by solving their problem. We've already talked about problems they face and what you're going to provide and how it's going to be different and better. But you also have to have a call for action. In other words, what should the customer do next? When you talk to them, what should be the next step? Here's a tool that a lot of people use. It's called the elevator speech. Imagine you're standing in a building and Warren Buffett is standing next to you. And he's going to take the elevator up to the 5th floor. And you get on the elevator and you want to pitch him your idea. You probably have 20 seconds before he's going to get off the elevator. So you need to be able to express the essence of your idea to a target customer to see what their response is. So here's an example template. We help the target customer who struggles with a specific problem by providing our unique solution, unlike other existing solutions out there. Our key differentiator makes it easier, more affordable, more effective, faster to solve the problem. And here's the call to action. Want to learn more. Now, if they don't want to learn any more, that's probably not a good sign. If they do want to learn more, now you can go from the elevator speech to spending a few more minutes with it. Here's an example that's a little bit more specific. We help small business owners who struggle with marketing by providing simple, affordable social media management. Unlike expensive agencies, our do-it-yourself platform gives them professional results at a fraction of the cost. Want to try a free demo? That covered all the particular things, and it's a kind of unique ending there. Instead of if they want to learn more, do you just want to try it? I'll let you try it for free and see if it works for you. So the idea here is finding alignment. Your capabilities, your mission, your value proposition, your market opportunity, pulling those all together and finding out if your idea aligns with all of them. So let's assume you don't have a specific idea now. You can look at the various elements. Do you see a common theme which stands out? You might pick 3 or 5 potential business ideas that align with your strengths and market needs. And then you'll want to kind of test all of those ideas and validate them. So you just want to briefly research each of the 3 to 5 ideas. And then there's a very good score resource. It's a blog post that says, "Don't go broke, 5 ways to validate your business idea." And the link to that blog post is shown there. Now you're going to need to narrow down the ideas. So one way to do that is to rank your ideas based on passion and interest on a scale of, say, 1 to 5, market demand, the profit potential you could earn from the business, feasibility, how easily you could start the business, and then pick the idea that has the highest score and explore that one further. So your next step, as Dan said, find a score mentor to help you through these steps. And then test your idea on a small scale. Experiment with a prototype or a pilot service, or survey potential customers, or do some free sampling if it's a food product, as you probably have seen in some grocery stores when they allow you to try something. And once you've kind of narrowed down your idea, you kind of know what you want to do, develop an initial business plan with the help of someone who knows how to write one, um, and see if the business actually does make sense. Now, that's a lot of information in a short amount of time. So what I'd like you to do is think about um, what you've heard today. You're going to receive, a copy of the slides and the recording. You'll be able to go to the SCORE website and look at some of the materials we have available. But after you've done that, I want you to reflect on what did you learn about yourself going through this process of Ikigai? What excites you the most about your top business idea? What challenges might you need to overcome? And use these slides as a guide to refine your vision and take your entrepreneurial journey to the next step. And remember, this is just the first in the series of 5 courses. The next one will talk more detailed about how you'll find whether or not there's a market opportunity. And the one after that will tell you how to write a very simple business plan. And then the next one will tell you how to finance your business, all with the understanding that you don't have any experience doing any of those things now. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm trying to see if maybe I'll take a look at the questions.
Yeah, Tony, we've got all the questions answered in the chat during the session, so there's no outstanding questions. But this is an opportunity. If anyone has any new questions, this is a good time to ask them.
Okay.
If there are no new questions, I want to thank all 55 people, actually 60 people who were signed in. Everyone who attended will get a copy of the slides and a link to the recording. Keep in mind, this is the third of 5 sessions. You can see recordings of the first 2 sessions on the SCORE website, and this will also be on the SCORE website. It takes a couple of days to get it on the website, so please be patient, but we will get it there. I want to thank Tony for a great presentation and wish everyone a good day. We're now going to end